So we are going to be live on YouTube. That Green River is so dangerous in some areas too. I've heard that, actually. And not just because there is there was a serial unaliver there. Okay, link to YouTube, because I have like the victims' pictures up on YouTube and a picture of Gary on YouTube and stuff like that. So if you want to go over to YouTube and watch, if that's easier for you, link in bio. But yeah, so let's get to it with the Green River unaliver. So Gary Leon Ridgway is his name, and he is to date the most prolific serial unaliver. Today, I mean, he totals over 70 victims. He was charged for 49 of them, and that's how many they found, but he confessed to over 70. Let's just put it that way. He was born on February 18th, 1949 in Salt Lake City, Utah. And growing up, Gary was not very intelligent and still is not very intelligent. He was slow. He just was not a smart guy. And this was like a huge point of contention for him and his parents. His parents even wanted to send him away to like a special school for intellectually challenged people. In short, he's not very bright, and he has never been very bright. His mother was especially hard on him, belittling him, making him feel horrible, ridiculing him, calling him names, like just horrible. And a lot of his anger was pointed at his mother. He also, in this weird way, wanted her love, and in like a very sick way. And when I say that, I mean that he had a very weird obsession with his mother. He would watch her while she was outside, like suntanning in her bikini, and he would fantasize about having, sexual relations with her. And at the same time, he would fantasize about unaliving her. Disgusting, I know. Again, we are over on YouTube if you want to come to YouTube as well. Audio is better over there. Everything's kind of better over there, but link in bio. So I also have an audio clip that I don't know if I can play from Gary talking about what he did with his mom. So we're talking, or what he thought about for his mom. We're talking about the Green River unaliver, Gary Ridgway. He is one of the most prolific, or the most prolific. He was married 3 times. He was married 3 times, and I'll talk about those wives. So at age 19, Gary served in the military, and just before he deployed, or he in the Navy, sorry, just before he deployed, he married his first wife, Claudia. And Gary's first experience with, I don't know if I can say, with schmostitutions, I don't know, with sex workers, I guess I can say that. He may have gotten married like again since he went to jail, but up until he went to jail, he was only married 3 times. So at 19, he served in the Navy, and just before he went to the Philippines, he married his first wife, Claudia, and his first experience with sex workers was in the Philippines, and he caught an STD a few times, and this is what started his hatred for them. Claudia divorced him in 1972, and he married his second wife, Marcia, the following year, and they had a son together. Gary was very extremely controlling with Marcia and even lost his temper, which resulted in him choking her one time. She divorced Gary in 1981, and he didn't want the divorce. He wanted to stay together. This angered him and a lot, and it angered him that she was leaving him and he didn't want her to, and she was taking his son with her. Gary was allowed weekend visits with his son. This is where his fantasies of unaliving started, and it came from his divorce, and he said that he used the sex workers as a scapegoat for hurting, like, his hurt towards her leaving him. This is an actual direct quote from Gary, and it says, "When I unalived her, my hate for myself was gone for the day." So his first victim was found in Kings County, Washington. He picked up his first victim on South Pacific Highway. Her name was Wendy Caulfield. Wendy's parents divorced when she was a teenager, and she became kind of difficult, and she was eventually put into state care because of how difficult she was. And her mother couldn't handle her. When she was 16, she disappeared, and she left. She disappeared, and when she disappeared, it was she left a visit from visiting her sister, and she headed towards the bus station by herself, and she was never seen again. In Green River, Seattle, 2 boys were riding their bikes home, and they were headed home, and they were going over the bridge over the Green River, and they saw something in the river. What caught their eye was that there was brand new white tennis shoes, and they decided to go and check it out. When they got closer, they saw what they thought to be a large bag, although this was Wendy, and she had her pants wrapped around her head, and her hair was visible floating in the water. Gary described this first unaliving. He said they had relations in the back of his truck, and he got behind her. He put his arm around her and wrapped around her neck, and he wrapped her pants around her neck. He dragged her to the water, and he pushed her in. He also recounted that at some point he broke her arm by kneeling on it, and he can remember hearing the snap. Guys, we're also over on YouTube if you want to link in bio. There's 2 links, one to this live stream and one just to my channel. So if you want to see his picture and all the victims' pictures, they're up there for you. Victims 2, 3, 4, and 5 were found all at the same time in August of 1982. Deborah Bonner, 23, Marcia Chapman, 31, and Cynthia Hines, 17, were discovered by an employee of the nearby meatpacking plant, all found in the river, no clothes on, drowned and weighted down by rocks. We are talking about the Green River unaliver, Gary Ridgway. Detectives recall one of the victim's arms being free and waving back and forth in the water while the current, going back and forth with the current, almost like she was saying, "Hi, I'm here." Opal Mills, 16, was also found that day in the woods nearby. Gary recounted that a fisherman was coming down from the river, and he saw him as he was dragging her to the water, Opal to the water. So he left and he ran away. And he also hid so he wouldn't see him. At this point, the whole city was scared, and the newspapers coined him the Green River unaliver. Gary realized at this point that he had a problem and always wanted a fresh girl. His next victims were found in September. His next victim was found in September 1982, Giselle Lavorne. She was 17. She was a runaway from California, and she was making money by being a sex worker. She was unalived right near an airstrip, and Gary recounted that nobody could hear her scream because of how loud it was from the airplanes. He also says, and I quote, "My urge to unalive her was more than the urge to have sex with her." He put his arm around her neck as well. I can't say all the words that I want to say because of TikTok, but I'm going to be putting out a YouTube video about the whole thing soon, probably tonight or tomorrow, so you can listen to the whole thing without the censor part of it. In October 1982, they called the FBI for a profile, and this is what they gave them. A white male, mid-30s, might live with his mother, a loner, and this person would try and interject themselves into the investigation. Along comes 43-year-old Melvin Foster. He was a cab driver, and he came to the police to tell them that he had given a few of the girls a ride before. They put him under 24-hour watch for 3 months. During that time, 4 more women went missing, so they knew that it wasn't him because they were watching him. From March to April in 1983, 6 more women were reported missing. In January 1983, the 7th victim was found, Linda Rule, 17. April 30th, 1983, Maria Malabar, 18, was found. Her boyfriend was with her when Gary picked her up and actually saw the truck that she went into and followed the truck, but he lost the truck, and she never came home. So her dad and went to the boyfriend and said, let's go. We're going to go look for the truck. They went to go look for the truck, and they did find it, actually. They found Gary Ridgway's truck in front of his house, and they called the police. The officer that went to go talk to Gary was a high school friend of his. So he took Gary's info, and that was it. There was no report filed. His co-worker and best man at his 3rd wedding says that Gary was a really nice guy. He even looked up to him. He liked Gary. He thought he was great. Gary also had a relationship with a woman named Carol Christensen, who would eventually become his 8th victim. She had a young 5-year-old daughter at the time, and they went out about 3 times together. He said that he had a soft spot for Carol because she was a mother, and being a single mom and having to work all of the time, she didn't have a lot of time for Gary, and that made him angry. May 8th, 1983, Carol, his 8th victim, was found in the woods. Near her body was a bottle of wine, a full fish, and there was a sausage in her hand with a bag over her head. When asked about this, Gary said that those were things that he wanted to throw out into the garbage and that he didn't need anymore, just like her. She didn't have time for me, so I threw her out too. Gary would spend time with his victims after he took their lives, cuddling with them, sleeping with them, essaying them, and this was because they weren't able to reject him once they were not alive anymore. August 1983, they find more remains. By the end of October, they had recovered 13 bodies and 25 women were still missing. Gary had a ruse that he would often use. He would leave some of his son's toys on the dashboard. And when he showed these girls his ID, he would also have a picture of his son behind his ID along with it. So they felt safe with him and like he was a normal guy. This is another quote from Gary. "I'm going to sweet talk her so I can kill the biatch." One disturbing fact is that Gary actually had his son with him in the car one of these times that he picked a girl up. He took the girl out behind a building and unalived her while his son sat in the car. I know, it's bad. November 1983, Mary Meehan was found. She was 8 months pregnant. Gary claims that he didn't know that she was pregnant, but it's not really one of those things that you can miss when somebody is 8 months pregnant. In the beginning of 1984, they finally put together a 55-officer Green River task force to try and find him. Gary recounts that he had brought 20 to 30 girls back to his home to unalive them. Guys, we're also live on YouTube. If you go to the link in my bio and head over to YouTube, I have a picture of Gary up with the picture of the victims. Between February to March 1984, there were 6 more women that were found. When asked how Gary felt when they found these women's bodies, he said that it felt like they were taking something from him that belonged to him and taking his property. 70 total for Gary Ridgway. By the end of 1984, 28 women's bodies were found and 16 were still missing. Strangely, in 1985, things slowed down. They actually came to a complete halt. The police figured that he either died or was in jail. But what actually had happened is Gary met his third wife, Judith. Gary loved her and she loved him. She cared for him like he had always longed for from his mother. Judith moved into Gary's house and would sleep in the same bed that he unalived all of those women in. When asked how he felt about this at the time, he said that he couldn't sleep and that he would cry all night long. Gary did shed a lot of tears, but Gary's face didn't show that he was shedding tears. His nose never got red. Tears did fall from his eyes, but the emotion wasn't there, because a true psychopath cannot act. They can mimic an emotion, but they cannot actually feel it, and you can see that they can't feel it. So I just want to make that distinction of when he said he cried all night long. A, it probably didn't happen, but B, if you see any like interviews with him or you see him in court during the victim impact statements, those tears are not real. Those are fake. He knew how to make people feel bad for him or how to manipulate people with his tears, and that's what he was trying to do. June 1985, 2 more bodies were found. September, another, and December, 2 more. In May 1986, 2 more women were found, bringing the total to 36, and 5 were still missing. In June, another body was found. 1 woman managed to escape from Gary. Her name was Rebecca. He made a mistake and he left his pants around his ankles, not allowing him to wrap his legs around her and hold her down. She bit him and she ran away from him. She provided a description to a sketch artist, and then the police decided to pull all of the sex worker related arrests, and Gary was among those people that they pulled for arrests. In 1982, he was arrested for solicitation. That was 2 months before his first victim's body was found. Gary was picked out of a picture lineup by Rebecca, and the police started to tail him. He would drive slowly down South Pacific Highway, almost looking and hunting. But there was no evidence that he actually did anything yet. In April 1987, they did get a search warrant for Gary's home and for his truck, but Gary said in his interviews that he wasn't worried because he knew that they weren't going to find anything in his home to connect him to these women. And they didn't. They didn't find anything to connect him to these women. But DNA was also not a thing yet. They didn't know that they could get DNA. They didn't have a database for it. They didn't even have the technology to test for it. So they were trying to find items to connect him to these women, and they couldn't. But on this Green River task force, there was a man, an officer that was very smart, and he decided to take saliva from Gary, and they preserved it. They froze that saliva and they preserved it. but they did have to back off from him because they couldn't find anything connecting him to his victims. Gary actually said that he had not stopped unaliving, and he didn't want to stop. It was just at a very reduced rate. He didn't make like a plan to go out and look for them anymore, or, go out looking for them, anything like that. But if the opportunity presented itself, he was going to take it. In 1988, Judith and Gary got married. And in 1990, 2 years later, that task force was dismantled. The police felt completely defeated by this because they wanted to catch him so bad they just couldn't. And there was women's bodies popping up all over. 11 years later, in 2001, after the task force... in 2001, 11 years after the task force had been dismantled, and 14 years after they suspected Gary, DNA was finally available. And they had a few samples of his DNA left on the women that they took as well and preserved. So they took that DNA that they had preserved from the victims and Gary's DNA that very, very smart police officer had saved, and they matched it. It matched back to Gary. Everyone around Gary, believe it or not, was really shocked, and they actually didn't believe that it was him. They thought for sure they had the wrong guy. This could not be Gary. Everybody loved him. They loved him. He was a really nice guy by all accounts, and he was kind of slow intellectually, so it was almost like a little puppy that people were looking at the time, not knowing what he did. They just saw him as like this really nice, guy that everybody really liked. Gary was arrested on November 30th, 2001. In 2003, Gary actually pled guilty and agreed to tell them about all of his victims if they would offer him a plea deal to take the death sentence off of the table. And the police agreed because they wanted to know about all of his victims. And he wanted to tell them. So they reluctantly agreed, and they just felt that bringing those women home to their families was more important than the death penalty for Gary Ridgway. Gary brought them to the dump sites, and he was happy to go out there. It was like a fun outing for him. You could tell he just got like excited. Disgusting, but true. He would often revisit these sites. He was also said to be very polite, very, very polite to police, and often saying good morning to the detectives as they would come in by name. And some of the women detectives found themselves like falling into this and even walking in and saying like, "Good morning, Gary," back to him. And they even said that it was hard having to remind themselves that like this man, if given the chance, would unalive them and then essay their body. And that it was like when you were in the presence of him, you didn't think of that. And he was so nice and polite that your brain didn't connect it together. After several months of going out and doing this with him, they did find several more women. On December 18, 2003, he pled guilty to 49 counts of unaliving. But he did confess to over 70 unalivings. They just couldn't find the remaining, 20, 21-ish women. Gary is now serving 49 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. And, I just want to take a second here because I think it's really important to say the victims' names and their ages. I'll just say first names. Wendy, 16. Giselle, 19. Deborah, 23. Marcia, 31. Opal, 16. Terry, 16. Mary, 18. Deborah, 15. Linda, 16. Denise, 23, Shawanda, 16, Shirley, 18, Colleen, 15, Alma, 18, Dolores, 17, Gail, 23, Andrea, 19, Sandra, 17, Kimmy, 16, Maria, 18, Carol, 21, Martina, 18, Cheryl, 18, Yvonne, 19, Carrie, 15, Constance, 19, Kelly, 22, Tina, 21, April, 16, Debbie, 26, Tracy, 19, Maureen, 19, Mary, 25, Pammy, 15, Delise, 22, Kimberly, 21, Lisa, 19, Mary, 16, Cindy, 17, Patricia, 19, Roberta, 21, Marta, 36, Patricia, 38, Rebecca, 20, unidentified white female between 12 and 17, unidentified white female between 17 and 19, unidentified black female 18 to 27, unidentified white female 14 to 18. Those are all the victims that they found of Gary. Yeah, he unalived them all the same way. It just is very heartbreaking, you know, like when you look at all the pictures of all of these women, and they were young. Like, if you guys notice, most of them that I talked about were 16, 15, 18, 17. And it was just like, it was horrible. And they were all working as sex workers at the time. It was a different time back then, I understand, but like, yeah, a lot of 16 and 19-year-olds. The older women were probably just out of opportunity at the time. A lot of them were in his like later years when he was married, and he kind of said like, I just took the ones out of opportunity, and I think that that's why. Yeah, there is more actually. That's just the 49. There's a total of over 70 that he confessed to. And you guys, like, I encourage you to please like go and watch his interviews. It's so bizarre to watch him, and like this guy, he's short, he's scrawny, he's like a small guy, he's like very not intelligent, and it's like, how did this guy get away with this for so long? And also like overpower these women in the way that he did. Like, obviously these women were like, they were young, right? But it was just like, I don't know. It was just, it's one of the harder ones, and it's one of the ones that like kind of hit you a little bit more. Yeah, exactly. Children from extremely broken homes trying to make a living and fend for themselves, and they were taken advantage of. And they were absolutely taken advantage of. And a lot of these, you know, if you watch the trial, which I did, and the victim impact statements, Carol's daughter, who was 5 years old at the time, and I think that one just hits a little bit different because she knew him as like her mom's boyfriend. Like, this was not just some random guy that took her mom out one night. Like, he had went and spent time with her, you know? So it just was like, I don't know. So yeah, that is the story of Mr. Gary Ridgway, the Green River Unaliver. He's like 70 something years old now, still in prison. obviously. I'm sure that he's on like a 24-hour or 23-hour protective watch, because, in jail, in prison, they don't take kindly to these type of people, especially that harm children. Yes, he did. He did revisit the bodies like Bundy. It just was more than Bundy, like a lot more. They were finding these bodies, like, they had a specific 55-person task force, like, just to go and find his bodies. It's crazy. Literally. It's insane. Yeah, it is gross. We did a live a few nights ago about psychopathy and psychopaths and like what that looks like and why that, like what that is, and what that looks like. Yeah. I did get a tidbit of information today, coming out of Pullman, Washington. If you guys want to hear about that. Now this is not a confirmed situation, but this is from an account from a girl who lives there and who posted it to one of the crime podcasts. And so I'll read it for you guys. I found it interesting, but I would love to know all of your thoughts about it. And then I'll give mine if you want. Hold on one second. I just got something else. Okay, so it was confirmed by Pullman Police. That's what I just got. So on their Facebook account, but I'll read you. This is an account from a girl who lives in Pullman, Washington, that this happened to her just a few days ago, or sorry, I just want to triple check when that date was on this. Today. So it must have happened. So it happened on Friday, February 3rd. This is the account from the girl that this happened to. Hello, I'm not sure if I can post this here, so take it down if it's not appropriate. My name is Daniela, and I'm a PhD international student. I just want to warn everyone about something that happened to me on Friday night when I was going home. I took the bus home and got to my stop around 6:10 p.m. I was walking to my apartment door and I noticed a black car with no plates and no car logo parked in front of my apartment door. The trunk was open and the car running. I kept walking to my door, and when I was about to close my apartment door, there was a man behind me. And he then grabbed the door handle. I was able to push all of my body weight against the door to prevent him from coming in. I quickly locked the door and called police while pushing the door really hard. The police has a full description of this man and the car. The man kept ringing the bell multiple times while trying to force the door and knocking on the door. The police came, but the man was gone. This man knew my schedule, where I live, and that I live alone. I did not recognize this man at all, never seen him before. I'm not in Pullman anymore. I left as soon as I could. I'm very scared of what could have happened and if this man got me. I just wanted to say this here so that everyone is careful, because I never heard anyone coming behind me even though I was fully focused. I do not wish this situation on anyone, so just be careful, please. Thank you, and please stay safe. Staying on TikTok? What do you mean? So that was an account from a girl in Pullman saying that this happened to her on Friday. And the Pullman police actually confirmed it and posted a whole thing about it on their Facebook. So yeah, that is the latest news coming out of Pullman. A man came up behind her and tried to abduct her for whatever reason he had. She is also a PhD student at Pullman, Washington. Yeah. So that happened. I don't really know, like, what do you guys think about it? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I just checked their Facebook. This encounter is posted as well as they are looking for a male looking into college residences around College Hill. So, this was confirmed by police. That's why I'm talking about it. They said that around 6:14 p.m. on Friday, February 3rd, Pullman police officers responded to a report of a male subject, possibly Asian or Latino, approximately 5'5" and wearing a green shirt, who rang the doorbell and attempted to open the female's apartment door. When officers arrived, the subject had already left in what was described as a black sedan. Officers responded to the area within minutes, but were unable to locate the subject/vehicle. They provided extra patrols throughout the evening. If anyone has any information that may assist us in identifying the vehicle or subject involved in this case, they are encouraged to contact Sergeant Todd Dow. So yeah. I just want to say, in my experience of studying men, like somebody who would do something like this or something like what happened to the victims, the 4 victims, it is not common for there to be a lot of them or even more than one. So this either, like, so to me, I'm like, okay, well, this might just like be like somebody just said, like, sounds like he was trying to traffic. To me, it's more of another one of those things that we can put on the tick of like, there's a lot of bad stuff that's going on in this town. And deeper situations that are going on in this town. Yeah, Jenny, that's a really good point too. She said who would have the balls to try that right now? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I have my own thoughts, feelings and opinions. So yeah. I just, I said what I had to say about it being an astronomical situation of 2 people that are like each other in the same area at the same time. But, what the fuck do I know, right? Yeah, that's the only information we got. I do just want to touch on, like, everybody saying that, like, Ethan's family and blah, blah, blah. Like, that was 3 months ago. So, yeah, I'm sure he had been watching her for a while. Definitely not random, because he knew her schedule and, like, when to be there waiting for her. Kind of like Idaho, or, yeah, kind of like Idaho, where somebody had been obviously watching that house to know the comings and goings. Yeah, it's very scary. The world is a very fucking scary place. Yeah. So that's all I really got on that. I don't know if you guys saw that Clancy was arraigned. And I just want to make I just want to make a distinction for people because I'm not sure everybody understands this distinction with her or like with psychosis in general. Having postpartum psychosis doesn't mean that you're like in a corner, rocking back and forth, drooling, and don't have any thoughts or can't function. She very well, like, so my point is that like psychosis is literally being delusional and having false thoughts, false beliefs. Not that, so if her belief or she was hearing voices or her belief was that like this is what she needed to do, then she could have absolutely planned on how to do it. That doesn't show lucidness because she planned something. Does that make sense? Because a lot of people are saying like, oh my God, now that I know that she like logged on to see how long it was going to take her husband to get there, blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah. Like, why does that tell you? Because she logged on to see how far he was going to go or how much time she had. Why does that tell you that she was lucid? Like, she wasn't brain damaged or she's not an idiot because she had postpartum psychosis. She just had a delusion, a belief, something that was happening that was not true. Okay? It's kind of like, I can equate it to psychopathy. I mean, it's not the same, clearly. It's very much not the same. I'm not conflating it in that way. But what I'm saying is that, like, these serial unalivers, they don't think the same way that we do. Unaliving to them is a normal thing. It's fine. Moral code is fine, right? To them. Somebody who's under a delusion or a psychosis, which is literally where you're under a delusion, has the same thought. They're not dumb. They're not rocking back and forth drooling. Like, they still have thoughts that they can go through, planning that can happen. Like, it's just delusional, right? Like, thinking that somebody is coming for them. So if they're thinking somebody's coming for them, or somebody tells them to unalive their children or whatever, that doesn't mean that they just stand there frozen and like don't do anything. If they think somebody's going to come for them, they're going to run. Or if, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not. So when she said she was being told and was hearing voices and they were telling her to do these things, she didn't just stand there and go like, I don't know what to do. Like, she still can think. Does that make sense? Exactly. Like, it's about a false concept and a belief. It's not about that, like, they are screaming and yelling and have no idea what's going on around them. And also, from what I understand, I've never experienced it, but from what I understand with postpartum psychosis, you're like, they're thinking these things and you're coming in and out of it where, like, I don't blame her if she like didn't say anything to anybody about this. Like, her delusion made it so she wouldn't actually, probably, right? Because she's coming in and out of it of like, I know the thoughts that I'm having in my head are not right and it's not okay and I'm obviously losing it, but if I say this out loud to anybody, they're going to take my children from me. And then the fear keeps you from being honest about what's happening to you. So yeah, maybe she did go to the doctor and they said, well, you don't have these things, but that's probably because she didn't tell him, or the doctors, the total extent of what was happening to her because she was afraid that something bad was going to happen, like them taking the kids away. And if you're not a mom, I know that that's hard to understand, but like, if you're not a parent, especially a mother that had just, that has a baby, and like to think about somebody trying to take that baby away, like that will overpower anything. And is it right? No. But a lot of this had to do with a lot of crazy shit. Like, that a lot of people won't understand if you haven't experienced it. I have experienced it on such a tiny level of having postpartum anxiety. And when I tell you the things that I would think about and that would go through my brain of what was going to happen to my baby, it was so gruesome. And not at the hands of me, but just random weird things that I would think of like, I'm going to be carrying my baby down the stairs and I'm going to fall and this is what's going to happen subsequently and this is how they're going to be unalived. Like, that's things that when you have postpartum anxiety, like, you think about these crazy random acts that probably will never happen, but you just keep going through them in your head, and it's exhausting and it's hard. And I didn't sleep because I had thought my baby was going to stop breathing, and I had to, everybody around me was like, they tried to do whatever they could for me, but I would stay up for like days and days and days, and finally I would have to sleep and I would get nervous, and finally my husband was like, look, we'll take shifts, and so somebody will be awake for him all of the time. And we did that for months. Like, it's not a normal thing, but I couldn't help it. And that was on like such a tiny scale, probably, to what she was experiencing. I don't know why she wasn't crying in that bed when they were telling her what she did. She was probably so drugged up that she probably didn't even know where the fuck she is, okay? And for the first thing, and one of the first things for her to ask, like, do I need a lawyer? To me, is not weird. I think she might have had moments of being lucid and understanding what she was, like, what happened. People have probably told her, or she probably, maybe the first question was like, did I do this? Did this happen? Did I dream this? Because I was obviously in a state of psychosis. And when they told her yes, her subsequent question after that was, do I need a lawyer? Because she's coming out of a crazy, like, thing, right? But, like, also, whether you're guilty or you're innocent, ask for a fucking lawyer. No matter what. That's your right and what you should do always. She's a smart lady, obviously. I don't find it weird. Listen, there's bad people in the world. I don't think that this mother is a bad person. I don't think that she's Gary Ridgway. Okay? She was, by all accounts, a very loving, attentive wife and mother and all of this. Why did the prosecution use that to not set bail? You know, the prosecution's job is to put them away and to prove it and to make to prove this beyond a reasonable doubt. And so that's what they do. And so you guys are seeing it on the side of, like, if this was like Koberger, for example, right? We see him as just somebody who did a really bad fucking thing and deserves to go away forever, and, like, what, you know what I mean? Like, just a psychopath that, like, did these things. And if this was the prosecution going after him, we'd be like, yeah, get him, right? But for her, we have this empathy and this sympathy for her that we're like, why would the prosecution do that, right? It's their job. No matter who is sitting in that chair, they have to do it. So we can't, you know, it is what it is. They had to do it. But what if a psych patient, he would be free? What do you mean he would be free? If a psych patient unalived you would be free. He would be free. I don't get it. We're talking about her name's Lindsay, I think, Clancy case. It's very sad. And the saddest part of the whole thing is these babies. I can't, like, the way that they were described, like, I was sick. I was sick. I was crying. I was sick when I was hearing them describe these things. Glad to see you're back and glad you're covering this. Yeah, like, I'm, you know, guys, I'm not a monster. I I don't know. Being a mom, and like I feel both sides of it so much, right? Like I feel both sides of like these babies, and then her, and like something happened, like her life is over. Before she had this baby, she had a perfect life, and I'm just like, just things can change so quickly, and like it just is super sad, and it's just super upsetting. And yeah, it just happened to like not a few weeks ago, I think. I think because it's a woman and because it's her family, everyone feels bad. But if it was a male, it would be different. Yeah, so I think that the difference is that like there was an actual. So I think the difference is not that she's a woman, but the fact that like growing a human, giving birth, and like being a mother is what did this to her. And then it's also something like she was under supervision of doctors. She was under supervision of people around her that, and it was the doctor's job. Like she was admitted for this, and they just let her like go. You know what I'm saying? Like she reached out for help so many times. Like they were recounting it. The prosecution was recounting it. Of how many fucking times she went to go get help from somebody. And like now her whole life is ruined and these babies are unalive. So like whose fault is it? Really? That's like BK coming to people over and over and over again saying like something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with me. I'm having these thoughts of unaliving people. I'm watching these people. I'm thinking about these things, or like something's wrong with me. And them saying like, yeah. And then he went and did this. Whose fault is it? Because that's what happened with her. And this mental illness was brought on by bringing her baby into the world. So, no, I get it. Like, it is super hard working in healthcare, being overworked, underpaid. Like, something needs to be done about this. And yes, society failed her. Not her, because she felt, and you want to know what the biggest thing, like that is a great comment, because society is the people that failed, because it's such a stigma. Like she was afraid that like CPS was going to be called, her kids were going to be taken away, she was going to be locked up in a psych facility forever. Like she was scared about something that was not even her fucking fault. She's like, I gave birth to this baby that I wanted to just love, and like something happened. And like I don't know what to do. She was at first scared, and if she would have came out and like actually said how she felt, like we're even probably scared. She was probably even scared to be like very like with like very honest with her husband, her own husband, because he then might have tried to take the kids away. Instead of saying, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that he would have or he didn't know or whatever. I'm just thinking of it as like, my situation. If I went to my husband right now and said like, I'm having these thoughts, he would pack my kids up in the car and bring them to his mom's house and not let me near them. So because he would be trying to protect them, not trying to hurt me, but like, you know what I'm saying? But like, she was probably scared. I would be. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just think that, like, this is, like, she wasn't in an overcrowded ER. She was going to her regular doctor that was seeing her regularly, right? A few doctors, and checking herself into these mental hospitals and stuff. Like, did she know she had PPD? Yeah. But the doctors kept telling her that she didn't, yet somebody even said, like, she was on 12 different antipsychotic drugs. 12 different drugs. Who the fuck are these doctors? Like, you're insane. This is an insane, impossible case. Like, the doctors should be responsible on some level. Yeah, they did. Yeah, I agree. Her husband should have stepped in within the span of weeks. It's crazy, I know. Yeah, she should have been inpatient if they couldn't control it. And from what I understand, she was inpatient and she was just able to like walk away. Or maybe she was outpatient. This whole thing was like she was failed. Because you want to know why? Because they see women as like second-class citizens who are just crazy. Throw some drugs at them, they'll be fine. Because most women are, right? We get through it because we're strong and we get through it and we have to. But there are times that we can't and things like this happen. Wasn't it said too that her insurance wouldn't cover her stay? I'm not 100% on that, but I wouldn't put it past it. Why isn't there accountability? So okay. I want to just say something because I think this is important for everybody to know. And if Miss Clancy knew this, maybe she would, she tried to go back inpatient and her insurance wouldn't cover it. Yeah, so now her insurance should cover the lives of those children. How are they going to cover that shit? So here's my advice that I've learned through my journey of being a chronically ill person. If you go to the doctor and they're not listening to you, make them document in your chart that they are refusing or they're not taking you seriously or whatever it is at the point, right? And so if you say, well, if you're going to refuse treatment or you're not going to take me seriously, I want you to document it in my chart and I want a copy of it so that if something happens to me, you are responsible for it. And watch how fast they change their tune. Like that. Because then they're taking on responsibility of not helping you. In writing. And this is what every woman needs to know when they go to their doctor. Because if Lindsay Clancy did that, she might have gotten the help she needs, or she might not have, and the doctors would be liable for the situation right now because they knowingly were not giving her the help that she deserved and that she needed. Yeah, you have to protect yourself everywhere. We're under attack from like so many different fucking angles right now. From, when I say we, I mean women. And like, I've kept my mouth shut. So like, my For You page right now is wild. Okay? Wild with things about women and periods and words that we need to use and are put in front of our names and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, when I tell you guys I'm losing my cool, I'm getting to the edge here of like not being able to keep my mouth shut about it because I'm frustrated about it. I'm frustrated about all of it. Yeah, she's not going to walk again. She probably won't walk again. She has to live without her babies, knowing what she did to, like, her, like, I honestly, like, I know this is really, like, bad to say maybe, but, like, I wish she would have been successful in her attempt. Honestly. Like, for her sake. You know what I'm saying? It just is very sad. So yeah, from what I understand, she was never left alone, and but he had to go get food, and that's when she did it. See, like, that's what I don't understand though, is like every single fucking place delivers now. Every single place delivers now. He didn't have to go do shit. Okay? They could have ordered something. He wanted or needed a minute alone, right? But so from what I understand, he was actually never told not to leave her alone because she was actually never diagnosed with any of it. From what they said in the arraignment today, right? Like, she sent him and he was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, he was never actually told to not leave her alone. And you know what? The fact that she woke up and still was trying to call her husband to talk to him shows you the delusional state she's probably still in. Yeah, they do. No, I get it. No, yep, if you're a mental health patient in the ER, yep. No, I don't think, they said that she wasn't diagnosed with postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, like none of it. And then she like came back and it was very confusing. I would have to go back and watch it and like write the timeline, because then she like ended up like admitting herself and being put on all of this medication at some point, like after it got really bad. I don't know. It just was like a huge failure by everyone. It was a disgusting failure. And those poor babies. She jumped from the hospital, right? No, I think she was at her house when she jumped. I don't know why they would prescribe her all those meds. Yeah. Callie. The from earlier when I was talking about my For You page being wild. No, I don't have it here on TikTok. From her house, she jumped. Yeah. Sorry, just got on. Can you explain what this case is about, or can you say the name so we can look it up? We talked about earlier. We talked about the Green River unaliver, and now we are talking about Lindsay Clancy. She is the mom that had postpartum psychosis and unalived her 3 children and tried to unalive herself, but was not successful. She was arraigned today. So, yeah. Maybe we'll have a controversial talk over on YouTube after I'm done on TikTok about the things that I was mentioning earlier. So if you want to come and do the controversial shit, come over to YouTube, link in bio, and we'll talk about the controversial stuff over there. No, she was diagnosed, but like not until let me hold on. Let me see what happened. Let me do a little Google search here. Google search and see. I'm going to get us the information. Ridgway unalived your cousin? Who's your cousin? I literally just read like all of the names. Who is she? Runaway was her name. Oh my God, was her name? I have her in my notes. From California? Was she a runaway from California? Tammy. Hold on. I know. I have her. Here. Really? That's so sad. But also, like, what a weird coincidence. No, Washington State. Okay. What does your family say about... Oh my God, I'm so interested to know about this now. Why? Where is her name? I know it's here. I know I read it. Or I have it. Tammy. Oh, Tammy Lyles? Are you sure? She's not on the... She's not on his victim list. I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just... I thought I had a name like that, though. Huh. Yeah, but what I mean is like they have a list of all his victims and their names. Hi, Michelle. And she's not on it. Which I'm not calling you a liar. I'm interested. Why she's not there. Oh, I see. Okay. Nope, that was 1988. It's there on Google. I have the book. It's there on Google. Maybe I'm missing it. I'm looking for it. It's not in his Unalivingpedia, murdepedia.org account. That's why I'm interested. She was 16. I feel like I had her name, though. Like, I feel like I said the name Tammy when I was reading. Like, it's there on Google. I'm like, that's why I'm like, but why is it not in his, like, when I did this, why is it not here? Yeah, there was a couple of Tammys. That's what I mean. Like, my brain is just not working, obviously. Okay, well. There was a couple of Terrys and Deborahs. Hold on. Yeah, I mean, it's right here. Tammy Lyles. Charlene Lyles. But when was it? June 1983. Did I have that in my... Oh, maybe it's up here. Hold on. Hold, please. That's probably where I had it. I know I have her name here somewhere. Like, I have them all. 82 listed. Sorry, guys. I'm just, like, interested in this. That's why I'm going back to see. Linda Rule. April. May was Carol. August. Which picture is Tammy? I'm not sure. Yeah, so it says he denies his involvement. And I think that, so here's the thing, is that I think that that's why it's not included. And hear me out. I read that just a minute ago too. He was very forthcoming about 70 unalivings. So I think why they are not including her in, like, you know, the official victim list is because, like, why would he lie about her or like the specific people and not about others when he's already admitting to 70 of them? Does that make sense? I'm not saying that he didn't do it. I'm just thinking of like why she wouldn't be included in like the official victim list when they talk about these 49 women, right? Because like he was charged with 49. Why wouldn't they include her in like the 49 names that I have here? It just is bizarre. I'm not saying that he didn't do it, just is like would be weird to like, I would look into it more. Like that specific one I would look into more is like why wouldn't you just like admit it, you know? That's all I'm saying. Okay, wait, let's get the Lindsay Clancy stuff really quick. Yeah, like maybe it's the way he did the other. Yeah, I mean, like, also somebody could have been taking advantage of the fact that there was this unaliver out there and tried to make it look like it was him. Does that make sense? Yeah, I saw the AP article. I just read that, but then I read that, like, it was written in 1988, but he wasn't caught and didn't confess any, like, to the 70 women until 2003. So, you know what I mean? Like, they attributed it to him, but, like, he denies that one. Like, he went through all of them and said, like, yes, I know, yes, like, I did this, and then admitted to more and, like, brought him out to his dump sites and, like, showed them that, you know what I mean? So, like, why would he deny, like, that one person? Or, like, even 2 or 3 people if he's admitting to 70? Like, what's 2 more? 3 more. Okay, let's see. So let's see here. Lindsay Clancy's lawyer said that in court that Clancy was suffering from postpartum depression and over-medicated on drugs known to cause suicidal and homicidal ideation, and that they weren't planned. She has pleaded not guilty, and she's is going to pursue not guilty on reasons of insanity. Like, she took her daughter to an appointment alone to the pediatrician's office, played outside, texted photos of her children building a snowman to her mother and her husband. No issue, like the doctor's report, no issues, blah blah blah. Okay, let's see. So she asked him if he wanted to order takeout from 3V since it's been a long day and she hadn't cooked. This was an unusual request, as they were typically order from restaurants that were closer to the home, but when getting takeout, to me, that's not an unusual request. If I'm craving something, I literally will go anywhere to get it. So, like, not unusual. She is currently paralyzed. Yeah, like how it, and I guess like her husband said that was unusual, but like to me, it's not unusual. Like I do that shit all the time. I'll be like, let's go to like this one, and it sounds like this 3V is like one of those restaurants that's like one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like we have a restaurant here that is called like Mr. Dominic's, okay? And it's an Italian restaurant and I love their gnocchis. And from where we used to live at my mother-in-law's house, it was a good like 20-minute drive there and 20-minute drive home, and I would go and literally order food from there because I wanted the gnocchis. Like, to me, that's not weird. Like, when I could have ordered from literally like Chili's that was right up the street, or gone to Taco Bell, or gone to like pizza and get pizza that was closer. Like, yeah, there's always going to be a takeout place that's closer. But if you want something from like a specific restaurant, which this sounds like it is, like 3 with a V, like it sounds like a very, or maybe that's like a 5, like a numeral 5. I don't know. But like, to me, it's not weird. I don't know. And then asked her husband to pick something up at CVS. Ugh, that like makes my stomach hurt. It was a normal call, prosecutors wrote. He said that she seemed like she was in the middle of something. Ugh. No, this is not a case I could prosecute. I would have to recuse myself from this if I could. Okay, but I'm more interested to know about like I can't read this. I just want to know about I can't read this other stuff. I'll start crying. Yeah, and he's asked the public to forgive her. I know. Bethany, what was that? They have a new baby. What? The dad found the children. I don't know. It's not giving me. I'm looking to see if she was diagnosed with PPD. See, this is the thing, guys, I just want to say. We're talking about Lindsay Clancy. With a new baby coming into the picture. Not really unusual. So what they're saying is, like, it's unusual that they went, like, that it was like she went to a restaurant that was like further away, that she wanted takeout from a restaurant that was further away and not like one of the usual close ones, and insinuating that she wanted takeout from that place because she wanted him to be gone longer. It is so sad. So she was on benzodiazepines, and I don't know if you guys like know what those are, but like they can cause psychosis. Dissociation. They may also cause anterograde amnesia, dissociation, anxiety, if they're taken for a longer period of time, aggression or behavioral disinhibition can occur. A minority of people have reactions such as worsened agitation or panic when they stop taking them. Increase risk of unaliving yourself due to aggression, impulsivity, and negative withdrawal effects. No, I don't think so either. Yeah, these are like a serious thing. Like these medications are like can literally cause, I've read that they can cause hold on, psychosis, cognitive effects. In short term, benzos adversely affect people multiple areas of cognition, most notable one being that it interferes with the formation and consolidation of memories and new material and may induce complete anterograde amnesia. However, researchers hold contrary opinions regarding the benzos was associated with moderate to large adverse effects on all areas of cognition, with visuospatial memory being the most common detected impairment. Aggression, violence, impulsivity, irrationality, and harming yourself behavior. Here, hold on. These reactions have been explained as consequences of disinhibition and subsequent loss of control over socially unacceptable behavior. So this medication literally could have been fucking responsible. This medication given to her could have had loss of control over socially unacceptable behavior. Like, I don't know, unaliving your children and then unaliving yourself? Like that socially unacceptable behavior? Just like to me is like, so you gave her the medication, gave it to her, and then told her what? Okay. Okay. She came to you for help and that's what you did? Got it. Okay. 13 different drugs for mood disorders, anxiety, psychosis. Was she over medicated? Yeah, you think? It's wild. This is wild to me. I don't know. It doesn't give me the name of the medication. It just says, like benzo. Like it doesn't say. And the SSRI is like, yeah, I don't know how she's ever awake me either. I don't know how she ever even woke the fuck up. This is not her doing. Like, this is, to me, I'm just like, it just like, it bothers me. It fucking bothers me. I'm gonna be honest. Like, it makes me want to throw up. Because they didn't just like play with her life, they played with her whole family's life. Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing is like so benzos don't always interact the same way with the same, like the dose and like the person and mental state and all of those things like have so much to do with it. One person can take them and be fine and then the next person can't. And then especially taking them with 12 other drugs. Yeah. Like something is off. It just is wild. It's a wild situation to me that would even be, I don't know. It just hurts me. It hurts my heart. It hurts to know that like this can happen. I don't know. Just reading. I'm still hung up on this your cousin thing. She tried to unalive herself, yeah. Yeah, I guarantee she has no idea what the F she did. I'm hung up on this that your cousin's not on the official list here. She tried to unalive herself. She was not successful. Highway 18? You said a highway earlier. What was it? Yeah, she has no idea. The poor fucking thing probably has no idea where the F she is. She probably has zero idea where she even is. Could have been Tigard, Oregon. Like what? You said it started with a team. It might be. We were talking about Lindsay Clancy, yeah. Yeah, just like to me it just seems weird that he would take credit for 70 of them and just like not some of them. I don't know, just like to me I'm just like why? Yeah, I don't know. Here it just says Denise Bush. So Tigard, Oregon. There's two. Denise Bush and Shirley Marie Sherrill. She's 19. And her body was found June 14th, 1985 in Tigard, Oregon. I don't know. It sounds like that's who you're talking about because you said June, right? Or July? What did you say? June or July? These two were found together. So I don't know. They have them here, but they don't have her. Like they have the two women. Tigger, yeah. Tigard. I mean, it's here. There found two of them. Shirley and Denise. I mean, it's like on my list. The name, it's like a subcategory. It's there. It just is like the ages were 23 and 19. Last seen was 19 years of age and was last seen in October/early November 1982 in the Chinatown area of Seattle. This one was 23 and she was last seen October 8th, 1982 at 12:30 p.m. at the Moonrise Hotel in South 44th Street and Pacific Highway South. Yeah, I don't know. Well, no, because they were all minors. Well, there was a lot of them that were minors. So we have Pammy at Avent. She was 16 and was last seen October 26, 1983 after leaving her home in Seattle. Her body was found August 16th, 2003 near milepost 26 on Highway 410. 1825. I'm just like Debbie Mae Abernathy. She was 16. I don't know. It just is very weird. 19, 20, 22. Or sorry, 22. 15. Carrie Royce, 15 years of age. So it's not because she was a minor for this. Terry Milligan. Gail. Opal Mills. Opal Charmaine Mills. She was 16. She was one that was next to the river. And then Wendy Caulfield, she was his first victim. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's very weird, though. I believe you. I'm not saying I don't think that you're, like, lying or anything. I just am, like, weird that, like, Cassie Ann Lee. So, like, they even have, like, the still missing people. Kelly McGinnis, Patricia Ann Osborne, Becky Marrero, and Cassie Ann Lee. Like, he admitted to people that was still even missing and didn't even bring them to their bodies or, like, give them. So, like, that's why I'm like, why would he lie about one? You know what I mean? Like, he confessed to doing over 70. Highway 18. They actually have Highway 18 on here. Like a whole, here, Highway 18. Cindy Ann Smith and Patricia Barzak were found off Highway 18. Weird. Well, I'll have to add her to my list. Yeah, they just called him the Green River Unaliver because his first, like, big victim pool was found, like, his first, like, group of 4 were found there. The newspaper coined him that. Well, see, so here's the thing. One thing about Gary Ridgway is that each one of his victims was very important to him. Each one of his victims, he remembered. So it's just, like, he remembered exactly what he did, how he did it, where he put them, like, everything, because they were very important to him. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just, like, I'm annoyed at this whole thing. That she's not on here like that. I'm gonna have to I'll dig more, do more research. Spring 19. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. So she went missing in June. She was found in April at the country club. Hold on. Let me see something. I saw one that talked about the country club. Hold on. Well, why was she working in the line of work that she was working in, if you don't mind me asking your cousin? Like, what, did she have a bad home life, or like what was the situation? Or was she just like one of those kids that was a rebel, or like, I don't know what to like say, and like how, what I was trying to say. Here, Tylee. Here. Hold on. I don't know. I was like hoping that well, okay, so I just want to say that like the way that they describe her was she was working as a sex worker, and she disappeared from downtown Seattle on June 9th, 1983, and that she was found in a wooded area from across from the Tulane Country Club in April 1985. Two more bodies were found within a mile during the Green River investigation. The idea of me were sent from Portland. Exams office in August. After official wanted to positively ID them, the remains were returned. 10 years, one guys. Has denied involvement in the death, said Thompson. Which way admitted to killing women in King County and transporting the bodies to Oregon. But Thompson said his investigation had no evidence that Gardner was ever in Seattle. Yeah, so like oh, I see. Oh, okay, so this makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. That's what they said that she was doing, but Henry Lee. Always looking for a new case. Okay, so here's why they say that he might be reluctant. Was he, what did he do, Henry Lee? Can you give me more of like a search parameter for him? Like, was he a serial unaliver? Like, who was he? Anyway, so what I was saying is that, so she was found next to or with another girl. Gardner's, okay? And so because of the location of Gardner's body, he was only given his plea deal for King County. And so they have no evidence that this other person that was found with her or right near her was ever in Seattle. So due to the proximity of the 4 sets of remains and the locations that they were found and the time frame of it, they believe that Ridgway is responsible, but he could be reluctant to admit to Lyle's unaliving because that could put him on the hook for Griner's unaliving. And his plea agreement, which spared him from the death penalty, only covers crimes committed in King County. And so because it crossed county lines, that's why he would say, like, not take responsibility for them. So, yeah, that makes sense. And like I said, I didn't not believe you. I just had to put it together in my brain. Henry Lee Lewis. Yes. Okay. I was like, Henry Lee. I know what you're talking about. Lucas. That's what I was like, that doesn't sound right either. Lucas. Yes, Lucas was the one that unalived his mom and then her friends, right? Or her friend. Or something. Yeah, that was like kind of the gist of that, I think. And he like hid her in a closet. Isn't that him? Or not, maybe he didn't hide her, but like he attacked her. Yeah. Okay, I remember this case. Oh man, I haven't looked at this Henry Lucas in a really long time. And I've looked at so many of them, but I definitely like this one. I'm going to be looking into this one. I might do that one next, maybe tomorrow. I have so many cases, you know what I mean? Like, I really do. Like, I just did the Green River one, and that's like the first serial unaliver one that I've done. Yes. Don't say sorry. It's not your fault that this happened. But I do want to say that I think that there's this whole case is like this case is crazy. I want to do it. He was very intellectually unsound. I do want to say that, so the Green River unaliver had a very specific type. He only ever unalived sex workers. And so I know this doesn't really give you peace of mind, but your cousin wasn't just traveling to California. Yeah. Like I just am saying, like, that's not all she wanted to do. Or maybe she was just traveling to California and she was doing that for money. I don't know. Like, my point in saying that is that, like, this is not just like she was hitchhiking and got in the car with the wrong person. He picked them up from very specific areas for a very specific reason, had a very specific ruse. And for him, like, he got off on that. So, like, nothing you could have done would have saved her or could have saved, you know what I'm saying? Like, the situation that she was in was one that, she unfortunately unknowingly put herself in, and not thinking that, like, when you're 16, you don't think about those things. You don't think about and then especially back in those times, like, they're not thinking, in the 80s, like, they're not thinking about, you know, I mean, which is wild to me because like serial unalivers were so much more common then than they are now. Yeah, she was partying. She was being a stupid kid at 16. Like, most kids are stupid at 16. You know what I mean? Like, it just is what it is. It just is what it is at that point. So. But I have her name now, and I can add her to my list. And, yeah. Okay, guys. I'm going to go to bed or I'm going to be so exhausted tomorrow and I'm going to hate myself for it. But I love all of you. And I'm going to keep doing my, you know, my stuff. Keep researching. Yeah, easier to not get caught. Exactly. Yep. Everybody got in the car with everybody. There was like sex workers everywhere. Like, it was very just like live and be free kind of like vibes. So, yeah. All right, guys. I will talk to you later.